of the 2023 Spring Grand Final. T1 will ban away Zeri, as is the right thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think Zeri or the Varus are going to see the Rift here today. The Lucian, an interesting one, because that is a pick that, against most other teams, has dropped from the ban list, but T1, we know how good Guma and Carry are at it, and it will still be respected. The same for the Cassante, so Varus is still open here. Do note Sejuani, another pick that is extremely high priority. Expect to see one of those two BB1 there, but that Cassante, GenG showed even yesterday how good, but no! And straight back to it!
Oh, I love this, because this is not only a good first pick for T1, but it is also exactly what GenG lost on in their game one just yesterday, and it was first picked.
And this is the Jace that you are going to guarantee yourself top prio with as T1, as the best top laner in the LCK. Prioritizing this early means you're going to at least have guaranteed control here. What you lose, potentially, is a Sejuani pick, but because GenG will actually lock both the Xayah and Rakan in here to make sure that duo is not denied, T1 will also now have the opportunity to have Sejuani and Varus. So you have great poke here, you have long-range engage, and amazing follow-up with the Varus ultimate, and Peanut's going back to the Wukong into this matchup.
And while GenG has a very strong team fighting core, Wukong and Rakan, we've seen how efficient this pace is on comfort already. T1 has so much range with Jace and Varus, even if you do end up going on hit, which Guma has done with great efficiency. The poke from those two champions means that a lot of pressure is going to be on GenG, whereas for T1, they can just fish for poke, for a Varus ultimate, or Owner with now the Sejuani available as well, try and go for a single pick. And if it doesn't work out, you can just back off and keep on poking as the Malphite ban. Even though Doran has struggled on it, I think into the Jace, still a very strong pick, so I like the respect.
And we'll see if Chovy's going to play the LeBlanc here. The Ahri is available, but he does not have the Vi, and the Lissandra ban was leading towards one of those two picks. It will be the Ahri here, so they have not a lot of range, but they have really good engage. And the ability to pick off these squishy targets in the backline in GenG's composition is amazing, but one of the biggest ways to shut it down is the Veigar.
Wow, and Veigar actually, often we see Ahri picked into it, but we've seen Veigar
team that will always have the leads in the mid-game is such a terrifying prospect, but it's what GenG's opted into for this red side game one draft.
Yeah, Bengi going on a little bit of a journey before finally bowing to score. Two absolute veterans and legends here of the LCK now facing off as coaches as well. And I agree with you guys with the assessment of these two drafts. I think if we had have seen this T1 draft yesterday in the hands of KT, we would have been nervous. But looking at it in the hands of T1, I am not nervous at all. I'm in fact a little bit anxious for GenG on the other side because they've got exactly what they want, but they have to weather a storm. And that storm is now coming from T1, and I don't think anyone's ready for that. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 1. The grand final, the first grand final that we've had here in the LCK, because we finally got a lower bracket, so I get to say grand final. I always say it. I always say grand final, but it's never been correct.
It's been grand every time.
It has been grand. It has been a grand final, used as an adjective, but it hasn't actually been a grand final, you know, the noun.
Technically correct is the best kind of correct, Atlas.
I
so
think, yeah,
now
I
you
guess.
finally are.
It's both types of
You can claim
grands.
that.
Yeah.
Now it's both types of grands, and it's 2 types are better than 1.
Yeah.
And
Very happy about that. And let's see how this early game is going to go, gentlemen, because I feel like T1 should have some advantages around this Rift. I want to be able to talk about this as being close, but it's hard.
So the one thing that people are probably focusing on in terms of the runes here is going to be Gumayusi, right? He obviously is not going to be going into the lethality variant with Comet with the support that he has opted into here in the Nautilus. So it is going to be more auto-attacking on hit. Zeus is going to come over here at level 1 and push Peanut out. Nice attempt here from Peanut to start the vertical jungle, but he will be denied. And this is actually really going to hurt his early game. They're slowing him down quite significantly. Now Owner's coming up. Oh,
Yeah.
level advantage.
Can he hit level 2 in time? Owner's on his way.
Yeah, Owner is going to be able to see this as, all right, Peanut going to be able to take that one away. So hits level 2, makes it over the wall. That's a flash from Owner, though. The flash to follow from Peanut as he looks to try and escape. But
Cage.
Faker is just going to put him into the cage. I don't know whether he'll have the W available as he's just going to stand still. Oh no, Peanut, and that is first blood. Faker picks it up, and it's already going wrong for GenG.
Great plan here from Peanut, but you get scouted out, and then you get punished. And Faker's over there, has the cage at level 2, and Owner's over there with red buff. You are able to secure the level 2, but you're not able to escape. And with that red buff taking through in the flash to guarantee permafrost, Faker has just enough time to come over. And a disastrous start here for the jungle for GenG.
And at first, when Peanut was spamming his penguin, we might think, does he know there's a ward? Clearly knew that he would be targeted here, or is just spamming penguins all the time, which is kind of his MO. But by being spotted is bad, but is recoverable from. But by his decision to then go back, try to get wolves, is what really cost him, because this early on especially is hold up.
Yeah, engage and counter-engage is already. Carrier's lit on fire. Pays trying to fight back, but a 1 trade here for T1 if you're talking about 80 carry health bars.
And yeah, as we were saying, as the bot lane trading, very aggressive. If Peanut just goes to his red buff, he's behind, but it's salvageable. But with him dying and giving over an early kill to Veigar, the troubles are already starting. And Doran,
Speaking of troubles,
might be in trouble here as well.
Yep, that's Owner rewarding his top laner for scouting out his jungle. And we'll see, Winter's Wrath is going to go wide, but there's the flash. Permafrost is in, and T1 are going to look for their second. Doran actually going to turn it and gets the solo kill 1v2.
and Doran does it again. And I said right before this, you put Doran on the Gragas, and he's going to be a hard rock at the top lane, but T1 aren't going to opt into this. They won't make
This
mistakes.
wasn't on my bingo card, Wolf.
And it looked good because Zeus actually goes into melee form. The body block comes through, the body slam from Doran, but he's got the range damage follow-up. But Doran plays it so well, gets that second stun, and turns this around. And suddenly, his top lane is a bit of a hole here for T1.
And that's very important, because if GenG would have also lost their top laner, Doran is put into a deficit, Zeus starts snowballing, I think the game very quickly becomes nigh unplayable. We know how good T1 is at pushing leads, but with Doran outplaying the 1v2, Zeus making a crucial mistake, overstepping, dying with his flash up as well. What we see instead is a top lane matchup where Doran, for all his faults, if he does get a lead, generally is able to hold on to it very, very nicely. And right here,
Look at this, the body slam blocks him from the melee, but he's still got, of course, the transform to come over here and do the additional damage. Doran waits till the last possible second, flashes here, and then as the damage is trying to come through here, he gets the extra body slam, and just a miscalculation there on the cooldown of body slam.
It was exactly the time it came off cooldown as well. Like, that was very close.
perfect cookie timing as well. Shout out to him for that.
Yeah.
And he didn't have W, right? He went for 2 points in Q. So normally he would have had a little bit more health, could have used the resistance and maybe not taken quite as much. But I think that it actually helped him out, because Zeus saw that health bar, was like, hey, I can pick this up for free, and got promptly punished, meaning that Doran gonna be feeling a little bit better than he otherwise would. Zeus, though, also needs to not overstate. He picked up Cole, went back, he had to use his teleport, and will still be in a decent spot. But if that keeps happening, if Doran finds more outplays, and we saw yesterday how well GenG played around his Gragas, T1 might be in trouble.
Yeah, an early game kill for Gragas isn't going to be lane changing. It's not going to guarantee him prio. But consider that we were going into this playoffs just in general saying Doran is going to struggle when he faces off against two players, Zeus and Keen, the two above him, of course, in All-Pro for top. And he's really delivered here at the end of yesterday's series and now in the first game, just being the one who's going to soak that pressure extremely well. We said he does it against most laners, but he will fail against Zeus and Keen. At the end of the series yesterday, he did not. And it is definitely a good look for Doran in this first game.
And this is actually going to bring up a conversation that we were kind of starting yesterday with this new format, with the fact that we had a best of 5 yesterday, that GenG were able to win. I think the immediate assumption, as we might be interrupted here momentarily by a bit of an engage, Faker does have the cage ready. Peanut once again finds himself inside it, but he's just going to walk it out, but Chicken's secured here by T1. But to go back to the thought, you might think that it's a detriment for GenG to have to play 2 best of 5s in a row. I think for a player like Doran especially, he's leveled up, and he can continue to do so, as now Faker is going to go into melee range against Chovy here, finds himself the burst of flash forward, but it's not going to quite be enough to lock down the kill. That is why you always drink your potions, ladies and gentlemen. Flash for flash, though, and Faker he's laning real well today.
Yeah, just committing the ult here for tempo and almost gets the kill. It's a trade of flashes, so this is a lane we've seen our best mid laners get prio in as the Veigar, and even with a good sidestep there from Chovy, the damage is just too much.
And even with Chovy staying alive, what this gets T1 is a first Drake. Hextech Dragon gonna be given over here as an individual Drake, obviously quite strong. Ability haste and attack speeds are stats that anyone loves to get. And Phase and Delight actually on the previous few plays were mostly ahead of the roam because they have actually been playing the lane out very well, right? So we saw previously as well when they were going for the invades, GenG was ready to commit, knowing that their bot lane was on the roam.
Okay, they're going to look to try and escape from this one. Flash out from Carrier as now Bladecaller not going to get the snare, but the Q is going to miss. Featherstorm has to be invested. Actually, a huge cooldown is here on the top side. Zeus is looking for a solo. Just needs to hit another shock blast, and that could be a dead Doran, but no, he takes a drink. And he should be all right. Just Gragas things, I guess. And Zeus is now going to get control of this wave back.
Yeah. Bottom lane going a lot better for Phase and Delight than it would have if we had seen that double 80 carry lane in the bottom side. His owner hits level 6. Is not going to actually commit to anything here. But that prio alone hasn't been enough because topside is so under the control of T1, and with that near kill onto Chovy, they're able to take that first Drake. Now this is the expectation with this draft here for T1. We already know it's not going to be Hextech Soul. Ocean the next Drake here. If they can stack 2, the Soul is going to be a big deal, what it ends up being here. As GenG, they have a great team fighting composition, but T1 is already starting the ball rolling.
And the more advantage that T1 can get, the better, but as mentioned, as Doran.
Yeah, looks for some cooldowns immediately. The flash out from the Gragas and Zeus. I think he's done it. There's the return of the favors. No, Doran's going to be able to make it out. He just walks it off.
Walk it out.
This guy is immune to death.
And the man, his body slams that minion wave, and Zeus goes in. His reaction time is insane. He's just waiting for that opportunity in the bush, but he still doesn't have the damage yet.
Do note we have a double lane swap here. Both teams wanting to contest the early Heralds. There is still no Featherstorm here for Pace. That is big. Guma has his ultimate available, but Delight does have a level lead. Wouldn't be surprised to see Carrier try and soak some XP somewhere if we do end up getting a fight. Looking at the river though, very firmly in control of T1. And for their comp, I think that vision control is extremely important because as long as they're aware of where all the initiation is, they should have a great position at fighting for Dragon control, fighting for Herald control because of their poke. And with Cage, you can't really dissuade the Rakan, the Gragas, and the Wukong from going in.
And beyond that, I think the team fights here for GenG are ultimate-based. So if you could bait ultimates out, like Pace, for example, still doesn't have his, it's really difficult to team fight, whereas a Cage alone could just push GenG away, and you have all the follow-up range damage. And they do, of course, let Doran go down here, but because he's a Gragas, he can't take a plate here. Zeus just saves teleport, is able to come over here and deal with this. Wasn't going to be able to help his team out if there was that Cage engage with the follow-up damage. Doesn't need to, and is going to be able to react to Doran. So T1 saved the plate bottom side, grabbed the Herald, It's a bloodless fight. There's nobody goes down, but T1 are the winners of the objective.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, really smart play here for T1. They had the timer on the Featherstorm. They knew that GenG couldn't fight without it, and even though they rotated their top lane up, they weren't able to get the control, and therefore, it is a free Herald their way. 2 minutes now on the next Drake. There will definitely be a Featherstorm for that one. We'll see whether GenG can even things out on the Drake score. 600 gold the lead here for T1.
He knows.
As, yeah, Peanut gets all the information. Doran's over here as well as Zeus. Can he stay alive? As in goes Peanut. He finds the Cyclone. Zeus could be taken down, but no, it's the fadeaway ultimate from Owner to save his top laner, but I don't think it's going to be enough. There's the Q, and now Owner is underneath his turret. Faker is going to come in and look to save his jungler. And once again, Peanut is put inside a cage. He's done this so many times, he's going to stop it. There is the depth charge, and Delight is going to get them out of there, but it's not going to be enough to save Peanut. A 1-for-1 in the end.
Really well timed.
And crucially there, it's Faker that, with the TP, is able to help. Guma and Carrier arrive as well. And while the initial play, very nicely done here by GenG, T1 are actually able to punish. Not quite enough for GenG there. I think if they kill Zeus a little bit earlier, if Delight and Peanut were going in there together, it would have been a really easy play, but Peanut spent so much time.
Well, Chovy's going to have to use his cleanse pretty early on here. And switched over to that one with his unsealed spellbook, like many Aries do.
And as you mentioned, Peanut knows they're here, wants to come over on a very squishy Jace here and look for the engage. But watch this from Owner. The save here nearly on Zeus' life comes through, means Peanut has to flash, and his Cyclone's already been activated. So T1 identify with Faker's teleport coming over, he should be able to arrive here and set up this cage for massive damage before the rest of the team can get away. He's got the ult and carry at basically max range, takes him out with the ultimate here. Delight also has to burn an ultimate, so many of these tools used for GenG, and like I was saying before, you really need these ultimates to win skirmishes. T1 can win them basically with basic abilities.
What we did see is that a couple of waves have now gone into the turret, and I think that's why the gold's still relatively even here. Pace has just been parked in the side lane, whereas the rest of T1 has mostly been responding, and that means that right now, gold, which was firmly in lead of T1, still slightly in favor of them, but kind of a negligible advantage that they have here right now. And the second Drake is live. Again, look at the control that T1 have here in Vision. That's going to be a recurring theme here. Very, very valuable here for this composition. It has the range of that Jace and Varus available.
Yeah, a couple of plates will go over, thanks to Shelly. She will allow Zeus to feel a lot better in this matchup that Doran has been sneaking out of so many times. But GenG will use the opportunity of that top side attention to grab themselves the dragon. It's an ocean, but it does mean that T1's a little bit further away from the Cloud Soul.
But the early Serrated Dirk here purchase for Zeus means playing into this matchup of the Ahri feels pretty amazing. You know, they put the Veigar to the Gragas where he's just going to be free stacking AP. Now has a Rod of Ages. The flipping the solo lane matchup here really well and putting the pressure on. Zeus picks up another solo plate there on the top side after the crash comes through. So much money being picked up on this Jace right now. Chovy?
Oh, great little charm here from Chovy. As Zeus finds himself the shot blast. Chovy still needs to be careful. He flashes to get the Orbit Deception, and that's the solo kill.
Really big moment there from Chovy. Goes in aggressively, and Zeus really struggling in this game. Not something that we're used to seeing from him, but in high-pressure games in the past, he has sometimes looked somewhat out of sorts here. It all starts with the charm. Zeus also, again, going down with the flash here, and getting gold on Chovy's Ahri is big because we know how incredibly impactful. Currently, I think 18-4 after yesterday on this champion. 2 levels up as well. And you gotta respect it.
You know, Zeus here goes back in. He actually gets the knockback, which is pretty well played. It's the best he could have done there, but flashing the initial charm would have been the play. Tough to waste your flash in a lane like this, though, considering the Spirit Rush will chase you down. And he opts not to use it, but now he's 0-3, and we were talking about the pressure he was putting on that top lane, grabbing that additional plate, but Chovy strikes back in a big way. And if you don't dodge those, you're going to go down.
I don't think it's too much of an issue for T1 just yet. You can see they're still ahead in gold, and plate gold has gone to the Jace. He's got the most on his team, even with Chovy, of course, who is going to be a force to be reckoned with as well. But this mid-game, if it's not about T1 taking control with their huge range advantage, then GenG, they can bide their time. And if Paze is playing like he was yesterday, he's pretty reliable when he's on a late game carry like this.
That's mean. Are they going to target him again?
Maybe.
Well, Owner is in a little bit of trouble. There's the charm. As in goes Delight, they are not risking anything. They're going to make sure that that is a dead Sejuani.
I mean, GenG now in a very comfortable position in this game. As a second Herald spawns here in 30 seconds, and Owner doesn't have flash just yet, no way to get out of this. And they're very comfortably in control of top side and mid. And yeah, Faker's going to be able to hold his own on the bottom side of the map, doesn't have teleport set here, but GenG should be able to just group up and take this.
What's really big there as well is that it's actually Pace picking up the kill. And as you were pointing out, this player has been playing way beyond what can be expected of a rookie in his first split, has been looking like a veteran in how he's been able to take leads. The main issues for GenG ever arose when he falls behind in lane, which is something that in the early playoffs actually happens quite a lot.
Reminds us of his first game, right? Against this very opposition.
He got clapped.
He did.
Without Peanut having Cyclone here, diving this isn't really going to happen. It's not realistic. So with a little bit of contest in mid here and Zeus wrestling back Cryo of topside, it will in fact be T1 who take this Herald. GenG not willing to fight without Cyclone. So ultimately that pick onto Owner, while it was a kill going over to Paze, it's going to cost them the Herald because of that ultimate usage, and there's no cross-map available without Peanut being able to set up the dive. So Faker just sitting pretty down here, and they will secure now both Rift Heralds on the Rift.
And Zeus should be able to pick up first turret blood as well on this Jace, unless Owner decides he has a different place for it, and I don't think they'll need to. Just press W in range form and take down turrets basically for free. And that is exactly what Zeus is going to do. So despite the fact that he's 0-3, he's probably got a lot of money.
Yeah, I also want to call back to a game where I think his KDA was like, it was I don't know if it was 04, like somewhere in between the 04 and the 07 range. Wasn't very good, got similar to this, pummeled in lane as Jace, and then ended up doing the most damage regardless and carrying late game team fights. So shouldn't over-index on Zeus struggling in lane, but what I do think is important that a lot of T1's wins, particularly in the middle and the end of the split when they looked as dominant as they did, were them snowballing so well. And what we're looking at right now with picks like this, GenG effectively denies an opportunity to T1. And what I love here is that it starts off as maybe we pick off Zeus again, but then T1 actually responds and they kind of read the play, but GenG is one step ahead of them. That's not something that we've seen often.
Yeah, but it comes at the cost of two critical ultimates. GenG aren't able to take the Herald, so T1 remain ahead in gold. The biggest concern for this Jace being 0-3 is that he hasn't been able to farm very efficiently, is behind Doran, significantly behind Chovy, who he's been laning against for most of this game. And as you can see, his item value here at this mid-game, still 5.7k, but his Muramana spike is going to be significantly delayed. So mid-game poke damage, a little bit slower than you'd like to see on a Jace in this composition, which gives GenG the opportunity to close that gap faster and more safely. Lift alone in this top lane right now, no one to answer.
Not a lot of attention being given to that top side as this Drake seems to be the focus of GenG right now. Doran with the ability to teleport in. And I didn't think that this game would be one where we'd have to discuss what team fights are going to look like for both of these teams, because it looked to me like T1's setup was going to be enough to sort of skew that to the point where these team fights are going to be really difficult. But now, so much is going to be on the shoulders of both Owner and Faker to control the team fights along, like with Carrier as well. Getting all of that CC down. Because Doran, if he finds himself a flank, if Gumayushi dies early, GenG could just roll over them.
Absolutely. Going to use this Herald to try to get mid-prio, but they're by no means secure in terms of this Drake setup right now. Cage is going to whiff too. Chovy did not break his Banshee's Veil. And this is a fight that GenG absolutely could take with Flash Cyclone.
Brute Force does get the outer turret in the mid lane though. Certainly a good thing here for T1. Can they get the Drake off the back end of it though, is the question.
Chovy, just as Faker, both level 13 to the highest level in the game, both of them having an incredible amount of farm available here. And this Banshee's Veil is something that, oh, Peanut!
Oh dear, Peanut just gonna go in though as Chovy looks for the charm. The flash out from Carrier though. It is gonna be Warrior Trickster, so Peanut is gonna have to get out and he has to use both of his Cyclone charges on kinda nothing. As Doran looks for the angle, it's the cast to deliver the jungle, and that should be the Drake. But now, the team fight in Everfrost is beautiful here from Chovy, as it's a double kill for Paze.
And GenG have bet on this composition saying we are going to be the better team fighting team, and when you have a Herald crashing in mid, it's hard to actually keep your cool. Don't use your ultimates to try to deny that. But they give up the mid turret, set up the better engage here. T1 walks straight into it, long range, pulling the jungler out, then having that follow-up.
And it comes from the player that was criticized most, that was considered the weak point. Doran is the one that sets up the play right there, gets Owner into the rest of the team. And right now, GenG with an incredible team fighting composition starting to stumble. Look at Pace. He is monstrously fed.
Yeah, and this is just an angle where GenG are like, we have all of our ults, and it looks like Peanut's out of position, but what he's really doing here is setting up for a hard engage here, and he's able to get through this cage. And then when Doran shows up here on the TP, when T1 are trying to come back in here, they're like, okay, Cyclone's down. They've been baited in. Doran over the wall, body slam into cast. That's the end of the jungler, and they see they've got the damage. Delight makes a call. Some iffy ones yesterday, especially on the Tom Kench, but looking clean so far here in this first game.
And it's like both Doran and Delight have continued their improvement.
Yeah.
Which was the trend yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's like this is a game 5, actually, not a game 1. Because it's like that series is just extended. Really beautiful play. Doran especially, man. I don't know what he had for breakfast, but I want some. I want to be able to perform at the level of this man right now, because he is doing so well and so much better than so many expected going into Zeus here today.
And what is very, very cool to see is that, hold up.
Speaking of which, finds another gorgeous cask! The special delivery into the Cyclone of Peanut, and Zeus is dead once again. GenG, I thought they had their eyes on the Baron for a second there, but they're probably not going to get ahead of themselves.
And the level of comfort that GenG have available here is crazy, but what they're doing here is exactly the same thing as they did last year, right? Like, the benefactor of all of these kills is Pace. Last year it was Ruler, and the team fighting is still there, but it's the top side that enables it. Doran, Peanut, and Chovy are setting up so many of these plays. Pace just has to walk up, gets the last hits, but if you're a fed Xayah in a late game team fight, your impact is going to be incredible. T1.
It's a T1 Baron, and GenG, no vision here, but they are aware of this. They're going to have to rotate over quickly. TP will it be denied?
Chovy, can he find it? No, doesn't actually see him. And now Teleport is going to have to come in here. GenG in position. There it is, and the pickup immediately onto the Ari. Oh no, Chovy's been caught there before.
And not only does he not deny the TP, but he's picked instantly in this fight. TP wasted to 5v4.
Cage goes down. Let's see what they can actually find here as Peanut is able to use his warrior tricks to the Baron is down incredibly low. Peanut gets stunned. Can he flash in? He flashes the wrong way. Can he get over the wall? The answer is no, and they pick up Peanut anyway. T1's back in control.
You can't steal a Baron from Guma and Owner, especially when Guma is on Varus. It just isn't going to happen.
And T1 were looking like they were backed into a corner. That's when they're most dangerous. Start up the Baron, and the response doesn't look too rough. As we go back to this play, very nicely set up here, and a great showing of the GenG topside. And up until this point, they were looking impeccable. But do note, there's 2 wards here, right? And it's Faker's case that sets it all up. And even with Banshees, you're not getting out of that one.
Oh no, that was everything in the kitchen sink thrown at that ward.
GenG here with a desperate deny attempt, but not only is the Baron going to go over, but it's going to be additional gold. Meanwhile, bit of a fight here.
Yeah, bit of a fight in live that is happening. Delight trying to escape. Battle Dance is going to do that as the Baron secured by an empowered Q. Owner once again in a precarious position, and Faker, it's his turn to get caught out of position. And now Pace is going to be delivered a 4th kill this time around. Oh my, I wasn't expecting calamity like this in game 1, gentlemen.
And you mentioned this, Chronicler, just moments ago about last season. Okay, hold on, we're still fighting.
Yep, that is Peanut being put into the bouncy castle as he's down extraordinarily low. Battle Dance comes in, Owner says not on my watch. And he will be able to lock down the jungler. The flash forward from Carrier, but he finds the wall. That is the Orbit Deception. Chovy gets himself out of there, and so does Carrier.
And this is a team fighting composition here for GenG that is reliant on ultimates, but it's reliant on Pace being fed. And while T1 does win this last skirmish, he's now up 4 kills, already has quick blades, and he is rushing to a 3rd item. When it was Ruler, the reason why everyone predicted GenG, even though we knew in a neutral meta, maybe T1 was the better team, they showed that at Worlds. GenG had the better read on the Zeri meta. Lehens had the answer to Yuumi, and he was the best Yuumi player in the LCK. But now, FaZe trying to solidify himself as the best AD carry here in this best of 5. It starts off well. Faker overextends here and is caught, as it looked like maybe they could turn a pick, but after those ultimates go down, T1 with the re-engage here, and Peanut is way too far forward.
We're seeing every side of Peanut here today, Crossbow.
Yeah, it's really the great team fight into the, probably shouldn't have been there. Wholeheartedly agree, but we're not done. I think we're going to fight for this next Drake as well if T1 want to deny the soul point. And what I do want to note, yes, T1 got Baron, but look at the Baron power play. Look at the gold lead. It has barely moved.
Yeah, there is absolutely no difference as Faker is going to be spotted on this ward. Chovy round to the side as GenG going to get collapsed upon here by T1. A lot of damage being done to this Drake. Because let's see whether Owner can even that one out. There's the cast as Faker's just moved in there. The Cyclone's fantastic. The Drake down to 1 health, and Peanut as an afterthought picks up soul point as Doran is incredible at Gragas.
He's a sniper.
Yeah, Carrier goes over, he looks for the huge play, but instead he's going to find the death chamber, and GenG back in control again.
They knew. They saw the Hextech, I think the wards on the bottom river brush there saw the channel coming through from Carrier, and otherwise that is an insane read from GenG. Get themselves soul points. Pace picks up another kill, and this first game is delivering on everything we wanted. Now T1 still has, again, the range rather. Rage Blade is done.
They might have the rage as
well. They
might
have at this point, yeah.
The state of this game.
Oh, this is a messy one. And it means that whichever team is able to outfight in these team fights is able to get the crucial pick. It's looking favored.
Slowed down. There is another cast, but it's just going to create space, so they guarantee the outer turret. So GenG will claim a gold lead, I believe.
Yeah.
After that.
Just slightly, it looks like here, but it's very close. It's just the way these fights are going and how clutch Doran has been at getting these picks. Look at the angle here to grab Faker.
Oh.
Incredible.
Oh,
and
man.
the thing is, worst case scenario, Owner fights back there. Owner might actually get caught. Then you take out the enemy jungler, but taking out the Veigar is just way too much damage to lose. And then you can't actually fight without your cage anymore.
He's on vision.
He is on vision, and he comes in here, and he's instantly deleted. Big play attempt here, but it ends up giving over more gold to GenG.
And do want to highlight right now, if GenG is able to pick up a soul here, look at their champions, like the value on Ahri, on Wukong, on Rakan, on Xayah of a Cloud Soul is actually crazy. And bold statement, regardless of the outcome of this game, I don't think Doran is going to be allowed to play Gragas again.
No.
I don't know if Peanut gets allowed to play Wukong again either.
We don't let him.
No,
I think we let it go.
I think this is a very, we've had some pretty easy POG votes. We don't actually have them here for the final. But
yeah.
If there was one, for this game, it's pretty cut and dry. You know, I think that if GenG win, it's going to Doran. And if T1 win, I'm not entirely sure just yet. Faker made some amazing plays early on. I think Owner's positioning was pretty good as well. But if they win, it might be on the back of some pretty crazy turnaround plays and some kiting from Gumayusi, because we haven't actually spoken about this. There is only one player currently in the LCK that I am okay with playing on hit Varus, and it is this man right here. And in the late game, he just does so much damage if he's given the space. So T1, they need to try and make sure that Gumayusi is safe in these fights.
One thing I am worried about is Faker went for
You read my mind. As soon as you and I both at the same time, we looked at each other. I'm worried about this too.
Between the Witsand on Guma, which is going to give him a lot of survivability, as, I might have to hold that thought, looking like we are posturing here, but Deadman's Blade, as good as it is, with trying to get in range and being able to actually cage people, I don't know if you need it into the GenG comp, and it's going to really delay your Rabadon and Void Spike, which means that the point at which you can do like really big damage is going to be severely delayed, and obviously Faker will still have a lot of value with cage into the GenG comp, but does mean some of the damage might be lacking here.
I just think that, okay, Owner, I really disagree with you, because I don't think you're really trying to close the gap on this GenG composition. You're trying to zone it a little bit and set up for damage, and you need more damage. Getting the approach on this team to set up cages isn't really the way this comp operates.
Well, that's a hook. As, oh no, Owner is down so incredibly low, finds another fadeaway, but it's onto a clone Peanut. He does end up having to flash, as now Chovy's taking matters into his own hands. Owner still in a bit of trouble. It's another huge cast. Faker's inside his own cage, but that provides safety to the grand entrance. That is going to seal the deal, and it's a double kill for FaZe. Is it going to be the triple? There it is! And can he get a quadra in game 1 of the grand final of his first split of the LCK? The answer's no. He'll have to settle with a triple.
8 kills in this game.
He's legendary.
GenG are going to be able to go and take the Baron here. Doran is just chasing Owner down. He won't overextend here to try to get the kill. He's going to be able to get out with the help of the Cloud Rift here. But GenG in firm control of this game right now. And you have a gold lead at this moment in time from this team fight, but you're about to pick up a much larger one with this Baron.
And when you're able to kite back, when you're able to use your range, the T1 comp works, but if that gap is ever closed, you are in serious trouble, and we keep seeing it here. Everything looks okay as this disengage comes through, Peanut is forced to flash out, but GenG is just unrelenting, and Doran, man.
This guy is playing so well today.
And once the engage comes through and Faker has to try to kite back mid, the follow-up is there from Delight. And every single time we're seeing Delight follow up on Doran's engages.
And Doran is, 2 people find him. And this is a Doran that you cannot just kill if you find him in a brush.
And not only is Faker not really hitting these event horizons on Chovy, he has Banshee's Veil. He's lost it now for this fight. Peanut does have Cyclone. T1 want to stop this, but I don't think they can.
This is Soul, as they are going to be able to steal it away. They deny the Soul. Owner, he will die, but it's a fair bit of time bought, especially with Elder on the horizon. Still, GenG with Baron and with a lot of control.
The power of the Varus and the Smite here from the Sejuani. This time it's already just going in straight up for a kill.
Varus is starting to get a little bit too notorious.
I mean, how many of these best of 5s do we have to watch this guy set up for steals?
Oh, Peanut. He's certainly been put in a cage many, many times here this game. Not this time.
Yeah, and do want to highlight, T1 buying time, I think still extremely valuable here, as they...
Oh dear, Chovy looks for the charm, doesn't get it. It's non-committal, but he won't have his ult for the next little while.
And I mean, they're still getting multiple turrets from this. They're zoning him away. His wave clear is so important, Chovy, or rather Faker's is, to actually stop these pushes.
With all of these opportunities, with the fact that Owner was dead for so long, GenG were able to take down a couple of inner turrets, and now that gold lead, I mean, the highest gold lead we had for what felt like the first 25 minutes of the game was 1.3K. That's not very high at all, and now this is the first time that it's actually been a real advantage, as we'll see. Owner being able to heroically steal away the Drake to buy them some precious time.
Duma always on the edge with those Varus arrows too, making it easier.
Really big as well is Keria getting the hook there, because if Doran is able to try and interrupt Owner and they get soul points, GenG is going to be in an even more commanding lead. Still, they have a team fight comp and they're taking control of the map. And even though the T1 comp, as mentioned, might have some opportunities when it comes to singling out targets, trying to hunt the 0 individual people, once you start losing control of the map against a comp with as much hard engage and team fighting power as GenG, it becomes so difficult to actually get fights on your terms. And if you don't get those as T1 at this point, you're really going to be struggling.
See whether they go for a dive attempt, as we have only 15 seconds left on this Baron. They're still done the most damage in the game. We mentioned, Charm is going to connect, but Owner is still going to be able to make it out. Still, Orb Deception does a lot of work. And Frost Armor doesn't do too much against the true damage.
And going back to Faker, he's so far away from a death cap. He's going Void Staff now, so he's really just not going to hit that spike this game. It's just not going to happen. And you're going up against so much armor here. The poke from Zeus is just irrelevant.
Chains of Corruption, they are just going to stun him for as long as possible. Doran was tanking forever. This is like mostly damage on the Gragas. And still with the fully stacked Rod of Ages, as well as the extra armor from the Zhonya's, he's, I guess, going to be K.
Look at Peanut. He's got the Chain Vest as well. Your Banshee's Veil here on Chovy. You're just deflecting so much of this damage.
How is Shadow Flame Gragas tanking that much?
I don't get it at all,
W, he presses
Level
W.
18, maybe? I don't know. Well, in goes Chovy, finds another charm, this time onto his ex-teammate, Keria, and Pays will get another kill. It's his 9th of the game, as Peanut is going to take matters into his own hands. Gumayusi, he goes golden. It buys some time, but the Featherstorm is there, and it's a double. 4 Pays on the bottom side for GenG. They'll take down the last remaining inner turret, and now it looks like they're going to go spend their wads of cash.
This is his first finals game ever. He's 10-0.
10-0, has a scimitar. He's full build.
This is not how I was expecting this series to go.
Well, look, it's still game 1. I think GenG really showcased that they know how to use this composition brilliantly. And unfortunately, the Veigar pick here, uncharacteristically from Faker, is just not hitting. And once Doran is this fed and can walk into a turret, tank turrets up, and just push deep and not really care about a Jace, not care about a Veigar, and look for the engages he wants when you've got a Wukong on top of that, Ahri can look for charms. There's just too many threats for T1 to deal with. And as you said, Chronicler, without map control here, T1 are just shooting with like pea shooters into all of this armor. And there's just never really an angle for anybody to get into the back line. For Faker to set up a cage that's going to lead to a team fight win, you're just losing slowly.
And another big thing, and how that fight and many fight has started out as well, is that Chovy, who often goes for an early Banshee's Veil, uses it as an aggressive item, right? Like when it comes to damage, obviously, it's suboptimal, but with how aggressively he fishes for charms and fishes for plays, the Banshees actually allows him space, and it's one of those things that we often talk about hypothetically, and then they don't actually use it. But that's the reason why I think Chovy's Ahri is, well, this game, you know, it's not in the bag yet, but they do have a 6K gold lead, and
I think
his impact has been, has been undeniable. Hey, I've seen crazier comebacks, okay? Think back to Game 5, KT versus T1.
And the main thing about this game being important is, maybe going to be interrupted here. Zona once again wanting to deny yet another soul point and collect one of his own.
Will be big.
We'll see. Some posturing now as the Drake is going to spawn right this second. Just going to take some time. Peanut and Pays do so much damage. It's 6 items on this 10-0 Zaya. And there it is. It's gone. They get a ward in. They get the bad news immediately.
And Baron's spawned, but they can't try to trade objectives here because GenG split them and actually were able to keep mid control and prevent T1 from going over. Now you can start this, but can you finish it?
Well, this is a Hail Mary, and T1, I think, know that they are certainly circling the drain, so you may as well go for one. Shock Blast connecting, Charm does not. His carrier's in trouble, they find themselves, the Baron is stolen by Peanut. That could be the last nail in the coffin. His Pace, not free hitting right now, but finds the Gale Force, collects his double kill. Gumayusi knocked up, prepared on a silver platter for the AD carry of GenG. Make it 13, shall we? As he picks up the triple, and Faker running for the hills right now, but Peanut, I think, may just stop him, as there it is. And GenG, they will take game number 1. I hazard to guess after that play.
Surely they can push for end here.
I think so.
Teleport
0-2!
And look, the story of this game, I think, is in somewhat, because of the hype of Pays potentially being a Royal Roader here, about his 13-0 scoreline. I think a majority of this game was set up by Doran, and the two of them worked so well together with Delight to lead to a 6-20 kill score here in this game.
And who were the 3 players that we were most concerned about? We were most concerned about Doran. He's 1-0-10. I'm going to hold that thought for a moment. Pace is going to get another kill. The Charm connects at the same time. Peanut grabs that one, and the Nexus will fall. GenG, they take game number 1 in the grand final. And to quote